It's dark outside, and I've been up in this bitch getting fried. Welcome back to Bestie After Dark, where I tell your worst or most interesting dating, bedroom, and romance storytime submissions. As a reminder, if you would like to get your story to me, please visit ycbestie.com/bad, all lowercase, to fill out my form. The title of your After Dark storytime is The Twitter Terrorizer. Right after high school, I started working in a manufacturing facility with my absolute best friend, and we ended up dating. It ended up bad, but this isn't the story I'm really telling. She had just introduced herself to this guy from another department in the warehouse, and she went to him for advice and ended up talking me into giving him my number. We ended up talking a lot right away, and secretly behind everyone's back, he and I are hanging out all of the time. It's getting flirtatious, and mind you, there's an age gap. He's 26 and I'm 19. So I never really thought to check Twitter. I'm more of a Facebook girl, and he has a profile, but he's never active. So I didn't think to check. Well, my bad, because over the span of 6 months, we're a situationship. He is retweeting spicy stuff all of the time. And he's not stopping there. He is straight up saying terrible things about me, about how I'm lazy in bed, not submissive, how I don't even like doing it. And it's so frustrating to be with someone like that. How he's in love with my ex and adversaries with her best friend, and like my deepest, darkest secrets on this random Twitter account I had no idea about for like 6 months behind my back. And of course, onward and after I found out, I decided that I would try to move past it, but instead he kept bullying me on the fucking internet on his public Twitter account, all while admitting to having a severe, spicy content addiction, while fat phobic, watching his high school bully drown after falling in a pond from huffing Freon. Damn! And flirting with underage girls on Snapchat. Now, friend, I understand why at 19 you wouldn't get why, like, this isn't someone you want to be with in the first place, but I think that you very much see that now, I hope, because I have this weird thing, okay? And this is what, a 7-year age gap? Yeah, no. No. So, 4 years or more, an age gap of 4 years or more, really what you are running into, there are several things. One, there is a changed power dynamic that just simply comes from experiential knowledge. And frankly, there is something, whether it's frontal lobe formation, a hormonal change, I don't fucking know. But what I do know is that all of a sudden at 25 and 26, I have been like, God damn, what the fuck was up with that? And like, I have been, I don't know, I have a different view, different perspective on things. Of course, it could be like my environment. It could be so many different things. But the fucking 25, 26-year-olds, really, I say that 4 years or more because I'm thinking of like 21 and 17. They're losers. Like, I'm sorry, but it comes from women their age or people their age. But generally, I am talking about men. People their age are not interested in them because they see the loser in them. Okay? People who are developmentally on par with them don't want to be with them for a reason, and that is why they are consistently seeking out younger people. 26 and 19 is I'm so sorry to all the people in age gap relationships, okay? I'm not talking about all of you, and if it hurts your feelings, like, you're gonna have to get over that. But, like, young people in particular, no, people their age see the loser in them and don't want anything to do with them, okay? And so that is why they're going for, like, barely legal girls, if that. I hate that you had to learn that lesson, but it is true. And being in love with your ex-best friend situationship is so weird. Wait! Were they talking about, like, being adversaries with your ex-situationship's best friend? You? Wait! Queen, I might need a follow-up. Oh, that reminds me. I have a follow-up from a recent bad submission. This is a follow-up to the guy that faked his own passing. So the follow-up says he lived in Pennsylvania, I think, and I'm in Tennessee, because I had questions about, like, how did this guy successfully fake his passing in, like, the 21st century and get away with it? Like, because she said that she met she met his fiance and was like, what? Because the fiance thought that like he is no longer alive. And so she said he lived in Pennsylvania, I think. I'm in Tennessee. They had a whole ass closed casket funeral and everything for him. Him and his fiance had 2 kids. He's still using the same first name, but a different last name. He has the same tattoos still, and he's added more. Height, weight, same date of birth. Like, I got really, really nosy. I'm about to message you back. Like, is it... Would it be insane of me to message her back and be like, send me all of his personal information, bro? Like, I'm uncovering this. Like, no, I'm doing it. Fuck it. Hey, Queen. I am actively recording episode 28 of Bad. I am including this update in the episode. That is so crazy. Is there any chance you would be open to adding or providing additional details on this? I'm just so shocked by how he was even able to get away with this, especially if the fiance actively still thinks he's dead. That is just fucking insane. Thanks so much for your time. Okay. I messaged her. I'll let you know when we hear back. Hopefully it's right now. Might not be though. So I will keep you in the loop. On to the next story. The title of your After Dark story time is He Did Ask for It. Bruh. Alright, so there's me, the dumbass who let a man who we'll call Scotty from 3 states away move in with me without really knowing diddly shit about him except that he was hot and homeless. It all starts out good and well. Imagine that! He needed a fucking place to live. Like, really hot and homeless were your qualifiers? Stop. Okay. It's okay. It's okay. We've all been Captain Save-A-Ho before. I get it. Trust and believe. But, like, I hope you're over that now. I hope that was just a phase. It all starts out good and well, but after about 6 months, it starts getting a little weird. Yeah, that's usually around the time it happens. Like, around the time you're like, wait, this person's kind of a fucking freak. He's asking our mutuals if they would do it with me while he watches, all while I'm totally oblivious to what he's doing. Until he approaches me with a man and a plan. I'm not here to shame, but I was young and caught off guard and too poor to afford a proper watching chair. So he sits his ass in the closet and watches through a cracked door. Bye. No, don't do it for the plot. Please, God, you've done enough. Now, friend, I don't even know where to start. There's more to read. Okay, you get the most delusional award. When you say that you were young and dumb and naive, are you referring to the literal fact that you didn't have a chair in your room and so your boyfriend at the time had to sit in your closet with the door cracked to get his rocks off while another man did you? Like, which part of that? Let's break that down. Because again, like, I'm not, like you said, I'm not here to shame. I mean, I am. You're not, but I am. But he didn't have to do that. Hold on. He didn't have to do that. What? Why couldn't the door just be open? Let me shut the fuck up and keep reading. So he sits his ass in the closet and watches through a cracked door. Whatever, I get mine, he gets his, and we're all a bunch of happy, horned up homos. What he doesn't know, though, is immediately after this surprise adventure, I started looking at his messages. Hundreds of them, some trying to involve me, others he was just straight up planning an affair. Me, autistic as fuck and already pretty emotionally done with this man, stays stoic, stone cold, and says nothing. I play along for probably a month, planning my exit and getting my ducks in at least the same pond to disappear. A couple days after I planned my exit, he tried to initiate some, intimate time. I play along, and this motherfucker had the audacity to ask me to choke him. Alright, bitch, you asked for this. Truly, I'm a pacifist. Okay, I have a bunch of things to say about this. First of all, do you know what I'm getting from this? Like, above all else, it sounds like this guy was not just a watcher. Like, he didn't just want to be ducked with the sea. He wanted like the full creeper effect with it too. Like, it wasn't just the act of watching his partner with someone else. It sounds like the sneaking around and all of the extra shit. Like, it seems like that was part of it for him. Down to hiding in the closet with the door cracked. Because I'm looking at my closet right now, and the door is cracked. Bitch, just open it. Just open it. Like, I could have sat in the corner. Like, listen. Okay, so that's that. Second of all, though, it's so funny that he asked you to choke him. It is, but it's not. I'll read the rest of your story first, but I have some tea for you, because I get it. Truly, I'm a pacifist. Truly. I don't want to hurt people in any capacity, but I'll be damned if I let him think he got one over on me. So I oblige, but I suggest we introduce some ropes and things. I tie his ass to my bed and I choke the absolute shit out of this man, and I might have even enjoyed it a little bit too much. I leave him tied to the bed, take my shower, and proceed to take myself out for a nice dinner and then to spend the night with my aunt. I came back the next morning, moved all my shit out, and then I untied him. Last I heard, he was somewhere in Florida living under a pier. Well, girl, now my shit seems so boring. All I was gonna say is that my ex-husband, like, after I caught him cheating on me and he, like, stopped and was, like, trying to, like, be a happy family and shit again, he asked me to start slapping him in bed, like, slapping his ass up. Low-key, I loved that shit, okay? Because we did not fuck with each other at this point, obviously. So I was like, yeah, you want to do it, that's fine. I'm slapping the shit out of you, like. Anyways, when he asked me to stop, one, I was like, well, you don't feel guilty no more? You should. But honestly, I was like, yeah, like, that's cool and all, but I don't even really want to do it no more, because that was the best part, because I don't fucking like you. Like, the last I heard, he was somewhere living under a pier is frying me so bad, because this man is clearly, like, bed hopping for a place to stay. Glad you got your lick back just a little bit, if that helped you heal. The title of your After Dark story time is How Mutants Do It. Hey, I saw your most recent video asking for stories about bodily anomalies, and while mine isn't very severe, I would like to bring attention to it for more reasons than just curiosity. Okay. I'm intersex and I found out this year. My condition is called classical congenital adrenal hyperplasia, simple virilizing type, and it mainly impacts my hormones, which in turn impacts my downstairs anatomy. I went through precocious puberty at around 9 years old, and aside from some subtle tells, I just look like an androgynous woman. I was diagnosed this year at 19, and because it is somewhat disabling, otherwise I would never have known, I pass out and get tachycardic randomly. My condition also causes something called clitoral megalia, which is where your bean is 1 inch or bigger, so basically like a T-man's D, in an abnormally large lip area. I also get wicked thick / long nip hairs. I'm bisexual and I have screwed women and pre-med trans men, and I just thought that all lips are different the same way that nips be looking different, which is true to a degree. But I don't have the clitoral megalia. I only have the enlarged lips because I was likely mutilated at birth. Doctors are taught to mutilate intersex babies' genitals, oftentimes without consent from the parents, which is a legitimate non-consensual sex reassignment surgery. I'm from the US, and if you Google my condition, that is what is listed under the treatment options. Most of the anti-trans legislation that is on the rise now also directly affects intersex people and people with my condition. And while I understand that because trans people are the primary scapegoat, and that is why intersex people are not often mentioned when talking about the rise of this kind of persecution, I do just wish that we would be mentioned more outside of disproving bioessentialism. Intersex people are not as rare as people think. We make up 2% of the population, as many people with green eyes or red hair. Anyways, back to my cooter cat. Period. No, but yeah, that's real. And like, honestly, that is a great use of Bestie After Dark. Good for you. I mean, get creative, babe. This was a great way, in my opinion, to call awareness and advocate for your condition, especially given that, like, you weren't diagnosed until, I mean, not especially, but you know what I mean. Given that you weren't diagnosed until basically adulthood because you were likely mutilated as like a newborn. That's crazy. Okay, now back to the spicy story. I'm a detransitioner, female to male to female, from ages 12 to 14, and back then, when I didn't understand intersex conditions very well, I wished that I was intersex because I thought it would make more sense with how I felt and wanted to look. This is why you follow your intuition, babe. I was too young to do anything to medically transition. Ironic, right? And now I'm glad I didn't because I have somewhat of a low voice for a woman and I didn't want to go any deeper for singing purposes. But now that I'm aware of my condition, I'm also looking into taking low-grade testosterone to get back my God-given T-man D. Also, being mutilated at birth has only affected me negatively. I've always felt dysphoric about that particular part of my downstairs anatomy and always wished it was bigger, or a small d, basically, from as far back as I can remember. Side note, I've got great C or D cup upstairs anatomy, which is pretty awesome. I do have some mild dysfunction, though. Luckily, high testosterone and androgens cast the being very, very horned up very often spell. I don't know if this is too taboo or TMI, though, so carry on with caution. Up until last year, I didn't think that I could... Can I say squirt? Why would I not be able to say squirt? I didn't think that I could squirt. Until I met the Magic Man. The Magic Man executed such exquisite techniques that, God, I just want to stand on a soapbox and tell the poor souls have never experienced the magic of squirting how to do it. I thought it was all hype, but no, this is precious knowledge that everyone needs to know. And I've been a hoe. It's not like I'm inexperienced. And it is easy for me to reach the big O, but for that part of my anatomy that had been mutilated to actually follow through to be the main event, I believed was impossible. But he worked me like cold clay, becoming a vase to say the least. Welders have amazing grip strength, so not all hope is lost. I just needed the most talented of connoisseurs for that result. Last thing before I peace out. Congenital adrenal hyperplasia is a group of disorders, and my type is not the most common. The most common subtype is called non-classic congenital adrenal hyperplasia, and basically all of the symptoms are milder, but still mostly the same umbrella of symptoms. You've mentioned precocious puberty before, which is one of the hallmark symptoms, and if you get dizzy sometimes, and this is the culprit, I was just hoping to save you some grief, just in case. Thanks, friend, but I'm gonna be so real with you. I was a early childhood CSA victim, which is also, that is kind of a hallmark trait. So, what you're talking about getting your T-man D back, yeah, I think I would be vicious with one of those low-key. So, rock on. I totally get where you're coming from on that front. However, I fear I'm likely not intersex. I'm probably just like the way I am. But I appreciate it though. Thank you. I hope that this was entertaining and educational. It was. I love your work. You've got an amazing personality and great takes. And I hope you have a great rest of your evening. You too, friend. Also, I do want to take a second to mention, these are my favorite types of stories. Okay, so I actually started Bestie After Dark originally with asking like straight women who have eaten on a straight cis man's back door out. Tell me about that experience. So that was the original like bad request. And shortly after that, I was also very interested in like bodily anomalies and how that all goes down in the bedroom, as well as unique or interesting whole stories. I'm not so much interested in hearing about men's butts getting eaten anymore, because like I've told a bunch of those at this point. I'm gonna keep telling them. But am I as into it? No. What am I really into still? Bodily anomalies and weird holes. I know that it's fucked up, but that's life. Okay, you know how some guys like are obsessed with like a specific war or like whatever. I just think that this is so interesting. I also, oh my god, one of my friend's husbands, I used to think that he was such a little weirdo for falling asleep to like war documentaries. I fall asleep to true crime all the time. Like, girl, listen, I try to tell y'all, I'm judgmental, but I'm not hypocritical. So, my bad for that. You're still a freak, Joe, but I'm also a freak. So, the title of your After Dark story time is Worst Decision of My Life. My best friend has older brothers that are twins but look nothing alike, and I was talking to one and we were going to do the deed, and laying my back to his front, he said he wanted to hit it from the back. No biggie, right? But then no like prep, no lubrication or anything. He shoves it in my back door and just goes to town as I die of embarrassment. We still talked, and I got pregnant a little while later, and he ghosted me when I told him, and then got with my other best friend while I was pregnant, and she didn't tell me till a week after they started dating, and it upset me so much I went into premature labor, which thankfully was stopped. And then her dad tried to get with me and even got me a toy. And plot twist, I've always had a crush on the other twin, but he passed in a car accident a few months prior to this. Good God. Good God. Is the baby okay? Good God, friend. Holy shit. God damn. It sucks you couldn't fuck the hotter brother, but fuck. It is. Can I make one joke? No, let me stop. Let me stop. It is kind of funny though that one, the one twin passed, and you were like, you know what? Fuck it. Ugly brother, I guess. Good enough. This is what I would like for bad gossip. I have questions. Can you come back with answers, please? Did you get with your friend's dad? Because why did he buy you a toy? That's usually an indicator that you got with your friend's dad, friend. Friend's dad, comma. But what do I know? I've never done that. I'm a good friend, but low-key, I probably would do somebody's dad if they pissed me off bad enough. The title of your After Dark story time is Getting My Lick Back, Family Affair Style. So I was married for 7 years to my now ex-husband, together for a total of 9. I made a few poor decisions, and I took him back a few times after I literally caught him cheating. The first time I walked into our home, and he was right there standing in the doorway. I walked upstairs and his ex-girlfriend was laying half naked, laying on the bedroom floor. I was shocked and I knew my anger, so I literally left and I just didn't come home for a few days. And then he accused me of cheating. He was always talking to me like I was stupid because he would say something that I knew was absolutely wrong. And instead of arguing with him about who was right, I would research multiple different sources on the World Wide Web and show him proof that he was wrong. He hated it. I don't know if it was more so because I was actually right or if it was because I questioned and tried to educate him. I blame it on my autism. So things had gotten worse after I got pregnant, which was a whole ordeal because I told him that I was ovulating and he threw a tantrum. Our son would be crawling and trying to stand up and fall on his butt like normal children do, and my bitch of a husband would decide to start saying things like, oh yeah, your mom doesn't give a shit if you get brain damage, or you don't care, you're just lazy.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
What a dipshit. Like, what? Is he a fucking dumbass? Or did he just turn into one when he realized he had a child and he didn't know anything about children? Well, I was mentally exhausted, and I told him I wanted a trial separation, so I left the place that was in my name because he refused to leave. He ended up not paying the rent or bills, and then he moved because he had gotten us evicted even though our rent was cheaper than where he moved to. So we were trying to work things out, and I kept getting this off feeling. I would still go to his new place and stay the night, and I would even let him take my car to work, and I would be at his place. He forgot his Apple Watch one day, and our son grabbed it, and I realized that there was a message, except it said my government name. So I look at it, and it was actually his boss who has the same name as me. I found out that he was sleeping with his boss and was telling her that I was crazy, that I wouldn't leave him alone, and that he wanted to be with her. So at this point, I start plotting. I take his Apple Watch home with me. Every time I would pick him up for work or bring our son to him, every message would load. So I started getting all this information, and I'm texting her, and she's acting like she didn't know. So then I went the other way. I started telling him that I knew certain things about conversations between them, and he's now telling his gay friend that her and I were talking. And he didn't know why he tried talking to 2 women. So I finally tell him that I'm filing for a divorce. He literally begged me not to say anything. He doesn't have any money, and he said that he was sorry. So the person I was at that time, I was like, okay, but you end this, and I want proof. You send her a text saying that it's over and you and your wife are fixing things. He was pissed because now he has a boss that he fucked over and is now pissed at him and taking it out on him at work. Well, he sent me a screenshot saying it was over, and the next day I go over and the text messages load onto my watch where I see he told her it was over and then told her that he didn't really want it to be. And then told her that he didn't really want it to be. So at this point, I'm just trying to keep things between us, okay? Because he knew it was my year to claim our son. So I'm waiting because I'm going to get these taxes and cut him off because he wanted half of that money and I wasn't having it. So I stopped staying with him for a couple of weeks to get over the bullshit. I finally am like, okay, look, this is the last time we are doing this. You keep accusing me of cheating, but I've literally caught you cheating twice. And this last time, it was with your boss who is married with 10 kids. So we agree that this is our final try. Things are going good for the first 2 weeks, and then something felt really off again. He was leaving for an hour or two at night, and then he would come home, and my spidey senses just kept going off. His birthday rolls around, and this girl from work gives him 2 different birthday cards and a $70 bottle of cologne. He was talking shit about her like he would all the other women that he cheated on me with. They always do that. They always do that. They always talk shit about them. They always do that. It's such a giveaway. So instantly, I knew. So he's trying to cover his ass. He starts telling me he thought his cousin liked me and blah, 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 that I was his cousin's type, and he didn't want me asking his cousin for help with my car, so I agree. So him and this coworker are still texting back and forth, and there his watch is, hidden under the bathroom sink. I was like weird, and I picked it up, and this woman was calling my husband handsome, and they're saying that they need to talk and that his baby mom was being nosy. Yes, he was calling me his baby mama. Well, come to find out, they are doing things of substance together, and she ended up getting both of them fired because she told someone that they were on that stuff. I told him to leave her alone, and now he can't pay his bills because of her, and I'm not going to help him. My car broke down, and I already had proof that he was cheating on me with a third woman. So I called his cousin, and his cousin fixed my car, and then I did his cousin, and I went back to his house. I acted like everything was fine, but I won't sleep with him because I already know him and her are together when I'm not there. Then he started doing things when our autistic son would start stimming or having a meltdown, and finally I was like, yeah, this is no longer worth it. The next day, I packed mine and my son's stuff up, and I had a protection order put on him for putting his hands on our son, as well as the verbal abuse that he put myself and my daughter through. Now, him and that bitch are strung out bad. Homeless, he has nothing to do with his son. Our son is not allowed around his girlfriend because she has a violent record, is on things of substance, and her father told me to never let my son around her. Yes, her father. Yes, I dug into her background after the order of protection fell off because they kept lying, and I had a gut feeling that something was off. So I fully did like a 48 hours dig into everything about her. I found her ex-husband and her ex-husband's new wife. I found her mom and dad, and I talked to her dad, and he told me everything. They thought that they were cute playing games behind my back, and her saying she didn't know him and I were still together when I could tell that she was lying. So I found out all of the skeletons in her closet, and I already knew everything about my husband. Either way, I did his cousin to get my lick back, and he still doesn't know. But that was the only time I did anything with anyone the whole time that we were together. I've been waiting to tell him that I either did one of his friends or maybe a family member just to get under his skin. Needless to say, I now follow my intuition and I always get my lick back, but I'm glad that I am no longer in charge of taking care of a grown man child who doesn't even know how to pay his own bills. I low-key, it never works out this way in reality because this is real life. This is not TV, but I would love it if, her family adopted you and your kids and, you guys all got to be happy and they got to be whatever the fuck they got going on over there. The title of your After Dark story time is Bloody Butthole Pizza Disaster. Okay, bestie, this story gets pretty up close and personal. If you couldn't tell already by the title, this took place when I was 20, about to turn 21, and I was in a situationship with a 25-year-old man, and we'll call him Jake. The 4-year age gap, 4 years and over, evil. I really enjoyed spending time with Jake. He was fun, and he gave great top, and he was 6'3", 300 pounds, and I'm a thick girl, but I'm only 5'1", so when he'd pick me up, I just love that shit. Anyways, that has absolutely nothing to do with this fucking story. I just love to yap. Okay, so at this point, I'd been staying the night at Jake's apartment at least 2 or 3 nights out of the week for about 3 months, and to be honest, things were good. Then the disaster. It was a normal night, and we were Netflix and chilling, starting the chilling. So he's hitting it from the back, right? And I'm so into it. I'm like, hell yeah, daddy, take this. It's all yours. You know what I mean? Well, he pulls out for just a second, and I didn't think anything of it. I was just waiting for him to stick it back in. And then this grown ass 25-year-old 300-pound man proceeded to use all his weight to try and ram it into my dry back door. I lunged forward. I'm screaming. I'm crying. I'm yelling at him. Why the fuck would you do that? And he's like, I don't know. I thought it would just slide in. 25-year-old man, need I remind you? Anyways, I'm a strong bitch. I'm not going to let it take me down. I still want my fucking nut. So I recover and I tell him to keep going so I can finish. He does. And then he says, oh, babe, you're bleeding. And dude, I literally just wanted to finish. So I told him to ignore it and keep going. And he does. But then he stops again and he says, no, like you're actually dripping blood. I'm so fucking pissed, dude. I run to the bathroom and I get some toilet paper. And sure enough, there is blood everywhere. And then I start to realize that it actually hurts really fucking bad. I'm crying. I'm freaking out. I'm dripping blood. I Google how to get my butthole to stop bleeding. And that's literally what I did. I read something about taking a bath so that it'll stop the blood or whatever. And I run a bath and I get in and I'm still crying because it hurts to even sit in the tub. And while I'm in the tub, crying, waiting for my booty hole to stop bleeding, do you think he even checked on me? No, not one fucking time. I was in there for at least an hour. He didn't even knock on the door, dude. So when I finally stopped bleeding, I come out of the bathroom. What is it that I find him doing? Sitting on his bed in his underwear eating leftover pizza. I look at this man with tears in my eyes and I said, how can you be eating pizza at a time like this? Which may be a little dramatic, but hey, I was 20. His response, well, I have to eat. And that's pretty much the end of that story. I did stay the night and I did continue seeing Jake for about another month until he left me stranded in the psych ward and ghosted me for 2 weeks and then popped up with a new girlfriend. If you're listening to this, fuck you, Jake. You know who you are. And your new bitch looks like a fucking door frame. First of all, goddamn. But this really reminds me of, I went out with this guy, the guy that punched me in the back of the head. Okay, that's how we identify him. The guy that punched me in the back of the head. And he apparently had a knack for putting women in the hospital with his member. And even at the time, I was like, what the fuck are you talking about? That's not a good thing. That's not a good thing. And how nonchalant this guy acted, I don't know. I just hope that it wasn't something like that. And it actually was an accident. Because it's so fucking insane, but they are really out here. Crazy fucking people are really out here that do shit like that intentionally. The title of your After Dark story time is Don't Bite the Hand That Feeds You. So I was with my kid's dad for a little over 6 years. He was a narcissistic asswipe and would mentally torture me our whole relationship. Don't ask why I stayed for so long. I don't fucking know. Anyways, things got more physically abusive over the last year of our relationship, and one night, after he'd been drinking and putting his hands on me, he then asked for a cheeseburger. I have never been more excited to cook for this idiot. Long story short, I wiped the cheese on the dirtiest, nastiest part on the inside of the oven. The bottom of that cheese was fucking black, and then I melted that bitch on there. And then I wiped my ass crack with his hamburger buns, and the first hot bun I did, I was a little too excited, and when I pulled it out of my crack, it crumbled, so I had to do another one less aggressively. I put that shit together and I served him his plate and I sat there and I watched him eat that grimy ass, disgusting fucking burger with a shit-eating grin on my face. I love that for you. Fuck him. I feel like other people will be like, don't bring yourself down to their level. Okay, no. I'm gonna sit here and tell you right here, right now, I regret not getting my lick back the way that I wish I had. And there were little steps along the way where I did, but I wish I had gone bigger. Good for you. It's actually funny because I think about this often. I think it's interesting that back in the day when women were hitting their men with pans and shit, that the only older women who seem to regret having done that are the ones whose husbands didn't change after. Bestie After Dark is also getting a few spin-offs, so the forms are now available on my website for bad gossip and bad families. If you have some hot, juicy gossip that you would love to share with the world, but you don't want anyone to know that it came from you, let it come from me. And if you have a shitty family, I look forward to telling your story. Thank you so much for joining me for another wonderful week of Bestie After Dark. I look forward to seeing you next time.